Hi, I'm Christa Jacobson, headmistress of the Budo, where we teach authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai Bujutsu. And for those of you who don't know what that is the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. In today's video, we're going to be discussing a very important and integral aspect towards true self-defense, true Goshinjutsu. And this is an important aspect that most self-defense instructors leave out. And it's sad, the majority of self-defense instructors or reality-based self-defense instructors leave these techniques out and leave these lessons out, and it's probably because they're not trained in it. So that is what we're going to be talking about today, true self-defense. Now before we begin, I always give a shout out to all of my new viewers out there. So if this is the first video that you guys have seen of me, I am Christa Jacobson. I'm the headmistress of the Budo, which means School of the Warrior Way. We teach Koryu Ninjutsu and Koryu Bujutsu, which means the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. The school does have other areas of focus such as reality-based self-defense, weapons training and tactics, survival skills, concealed carry, martial arts theory, thought and philosophy, martial arts conditioning. If any of those topics at all interest you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the bell. That way you guys can keep up with everything that we're doing. I do post 2 to 3 videos a week. So if you're interested in those topics, we discuss that a lot on this channel. So today, we're going to be discussing the idea of self-defense in a different realm than just the physical realm. We're going to be discussing topics such as fear, anxiety, stress, depression, particularly these attacks that you have to deal with during the holiday season. Now, we just got done having Christmas, and a few days before that was Yule. A few days before that was Hanukkah, and I'm sure there were numerous other holidays during this time. Here in a few days we have New Year's coming up, right? And during this holiday season, right, during these holidays, Hanukkah and Yule and Christmas and New Year's and multiple other holidays that can be thrown in there, right? People deal with so much loneliness and sadness and anxiety and depression and stress. And today, I think it's important that we talk about those things, because when you say, I am trained in self-defense, the word self-defense means you're defending yourself against something that can hurt you, that can harm you. The problem is, and I've said this multiple times, and I'm going to say it again, I believe that 90% of all martial arts are bullshit. 90% of all martial art teachers are only in it for the money. They're running it for a business. They don't give a shit about the development of the students. If they did, the martial arts community would not be in the position that it is. Second, you also have another world that's kind of a branch of martial arts. And these are the people that claim to be self-defense instructors. They don't claim to be martial arts instructors. In fact, they'll sit down and have a good old go as to why self-defense training isn't the same as martial arts training. And that group. So usually they say self-defense or real self-defense or reality-based self-defense or whatever, right? They got a long list of explanation as to the difference between self-defense and self-protection, and one's being defensive and one being aggressive. And man, they got a sales pitch. I mean, I'm just telling you, right? That group. 90% of them are bullshit too. And today, I think it's important that we talk about what's true self-defense and what is the true meaning of Goshinjutsu. Now, here I use words like reality-based self-defense only because those are words that are very popular. And when I'm talking to students or potential new students, I want to use the phrases that the potential students can recognize and understand. So we use phrases such as ninja martial arts and reality-based self-defense and things like this because that's what they hear. But then when they get in, you start training them and teaching them, okay, well, this is what the media says, and I'm sure this is what you heard me say on a YouTube channel, but here's the reality of it, right? Here's the reality of this particular term. Here's the reality of this particular understanding or philosophy or idea. And then you start training them and shaping their mind and body and spirit to understand the way. And by doing that, you help them understand that self-defense isn't just in a physical realm. So you have these people, let's go to the branch of the self-defense group. They're like, oh, self-defense. Today we're going to train against a wrist grab or against a grab or a knife attack or an edged weapon or a firearm or a gun or maybe a stick, a bludgeoning weapon, someone trying to hit you with something. You know, and every lesson is consistently inside the physical realm. That's it. They are not, their education and their expertise only lies within that particular set of skills. Now, by no means am I going to sit there and say they're not good at what they do, because I'm not talking about any one individual. I'm talking about a group, this idea of people. So maybe they are good at, in the physical realm. But the reality of it is, most people have to deal with fear than they have to deal with the wrist grab. Most people have to deal with anxiety more than they have to deal with a stick coming in and hitting them. Most people have to deal with, you know, depression and loneliness more than they have to deal with someone trying to hit them with a stick, you know. And most people have to deal with just the reality of survival and being able to keep their freaking lights on and food on the table, you know. Then they have to deal with, you know, someone trying to point a firearm at them. So I think it's important, very important, that when we talk about true self-defense, true Goshin Jutsu, and in the videos, in the YouTube videos, I say reality-based self-defense or da 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 da. In the dojo, you guys hear me say Goshin Jutsu, because that's what it means in Koryu, Goshin Jutsu. And Shin, you know, the idea of Shin, that can be in the spirit, you know, the heart, the person, Goshin, right? And there's multiple different meanings of breaking that down, of the mind, Kokoro, the spirit, and being able to apply that towards whatever self-defense it is that you're doing. But you have to be able to defend yourself against all of it. And you have to train your body to be able, and mind, to be able to handle those particular attacks. Many people get attacked online. You know, they get, you know, you can't do this or you can't do that. Or maybe someone posts something really negative about them, or someone, you know, that sort of thing. And really tears them apart. And mentally, that they can't handle it. Suicide's up so much during the holidays and the New Year's. People are saddened because they don't have money. For some reason, they believe that you have to have money for happiness, and that's absolutely not true. You need money if you're going to buy a gun, but a gun doesn't provide you with safety, right? It's like you could buy a bed, but a bed don't give you sleep. You know what I mean? You could buy a clock, but the clock ain't going to give you time. So money only gives you so much. Money does not bring happiness. And so many people lose sight of that. Now, on the other side, there is an extent to the point where you need to have money to provide certain things, and I agree with that. You need to have money to buy food or to pay for the light bill or something along those lines. But if your livelihood is met, money doesn't help you become more happy. You know, and I think during this time, people really feel like they're not at the level that they should be as a person or a parent or a guardian or maybe a child or a family member or a teacher or whatever, you know, because they don't have the money to buy a gift, or they don't have the money to do something for someone. And the reality is, money isn't really the thing that people are going to remember. No one's going to give a shit about a, you know, 50-cent holiday card with, you know, some big old fat elf on it. I mean, that's not what people are going to remember. People are going to remember the relationships and the time that you spent with that person and the kindness that you showed to that person. Dealing with anxiety, and like an anxiety, the majority of people are thinking something's going to happen when it hasn't happened. Same thing with fear or depression. You're down about certain things, and you know, you're worried about certain things. I think all those things they're notable, and I think all of them they're all real. All those things that people say, well, you know, fear and anxiety and stress and depression, they're all made up. That's not a real thing. No, they are. And if you feel like it's something that you can't handle, then you need to see a doctor or an expert in the field that can help you with that. I'm not an expert in the field in those areas. I wouldn't be able to help you too much in that regard. But when we're dealing with something that comes around like an acute injury, there's acute injuries and there's chronic injuries, right? So an acute injury, for those of you guys who don't know the difference, an acute injury is something that happens now. Like you're running, you stick your leg in a hole and you break your leg. That's an acute injury, right? A chronic injury is something that doesn't ever go away. It's like always there, constantly. Like some people say I have back pain, and they deal with back pain all the time. And every single day, no matter what they do, they've always got back pain, right? And day after day, week after week, month after month, they constantly have back pain. I gotta get around here before the car comes. Hold on. We've got people on the side over here, and I don't want to get hit by a car. There you go. Look at that, huh? Did a little jog. Anyway, chronic injury is something that happens all the time. So if you're dealing with chronic depression, chronic anxiety, and things that just you're not dealing with, and you need to see a professional. But if it's just something because you're feeling down because of this one thing, those are the times where you need to look at from your martial arts perspective, and you want to counter the problem with an acceptable reaction. Now, I can't speak for all martial arts, so this is where it's going to be more kind of geared for ninjutsu and kind of the way that, I wouldn't say ninjutsu, but definitely Koryu. Because the Koryu really looks a lot at the elemental aspects of the world. So like even in Miyamoto Musashi's Book of Five Rings, you have Chi, Sui, Kafu, Ku. Chi is the earth element. Sui is the water element. Ka is the fire element. Fu is the wind element. And Ku is the void. Now, when you have a problem, you have to look at the problem, and you want to be able to use an element that would handle the problem. Like an example, if something was coming at you in a fire element, the easiest way to handle it, easiest way would be water. But you can also do it with wind. You just take away its oxygen. So when you look at what makes fire dangerous, is the fact that it can burn you. And if you can't control it, it constantly grows, right? Well, water can put it out. But if you could take away its oxygen, if you could take away its fuel source, you can eliminate it, you can kill it, you can put it away, you can make sure that it never comes back. Where if you use water, sooner or later, the problem will probably persist again. In which case you'd use the same technique. Constantly. So when we look at things like earth, from a problem perspective, that's something that's kind of, it's earth usually means things like grounded, rooted. They are what they are. So like an earth problem would be like rent. It comes every single month. It's never going to go away. It's like Mount Fuji doesn't go away, you know? So things like that would be an earth issue. Water is the build and crash, right? Something builds, and then crashes down, you know? It's like maybe I don't know, I'm giving a hypothetical. Maybe there's something that you keep taking a loan, take a loan, and then all of a sudden, now you got to pay for it, you know? That's kind of a build, crash kind of thing, right? Fire is something in the now. It's a problem right now. You're driving your car and you blow a tire, or something like that. We're just like, it's an unexpected problem, and it's like, there you go. And it happened right now, like in the moment. It's a fire issue. Wind is something it's kind of just happening in the background, and you don't know it's there. Those kind of problems, I think, are because you can't see it, you can't feel it, you don't know it until it's like right there, you know, and it's controlling you. And those are the ones that are kind of more harder to deal with, because that's like, you know, the example during the holidays, people have a lot of problems with families and close friends and things like that. So those problems where people are talking trash about you in the backside, and everyone's making up lies, and they're nice to your face, but behind your back they'll circle around you and talk a bunch of shit. But then when they're right to your face to face, you know, they're totally nice, and you know, everything's okay face to face, but then they go behind you, start circling around you and talking shit to your friends and all this kind of stuff, and behind you and all this, but then they get back around, you know. So it's sometimes those windy techniques or those windy attacks are much difficult because it's not right here, you know. And then the void. which we can talk about that at another time. I'm not going to throw that one in here right now, to be honest with you. So it's important that when you start feeling these feelings, whether it's anger, fear, anxiety, stress, depression, you have to recognize that, okay, I'm having an emotion. I'm having something that's taken away my energy from the now. Why? So we have to live in the now. The only thing that exists is the now. The past is done. It's over with. You can't change it. There's absolutely nothing about dwelling about the past that is going to help you or benefit you at all going to the future. None. There's nothing you can do that's going to change the past. The past is the past. You cannot change that. You could just move forward. So quit dwelling about the past. No, we're all human. There's nothing wrong with, everyone has their little fantasies and their, what do they call that? Daydreaming about the past, and maybe you could relive a certain situation. I don't know that that's necessarily bad, but that's in a sense, if I think of that in the sense of like a fantasy, not so much as I wish this would never happen in my life. It happened. But if you're driving your car and you're having a flashback and you're remembering the past and good memories, that's not a bad thing. So you kind of have to you need to make sure that you differentiate between what is being harmful to you from a mental perspective and what's being positive to you. We all get in the car and drive and sing to our favorite tune and whatever music it is that you guys like to listen to, or put our minds somewhere else, and all those things are very beneficial and can help us mentally kind of have an outlet towards getting shit off our chest, and that's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. So that's definitely a thing that I think everyone should be doing. They should have a little bit of you time, because if you can't love yourself, it makes it very difficult for you to love someone else. If you can't take care of yourself, it makes it very difficult for you to be able to take care of another person. And just because you take care of another person in the physical realm doesn't mean you actually take care of them in the mental realm. I get this a lot, even from people who are students, in the online dojo or whatever. It's like, God dang, I'm taking care of my family, and then everything that person says is physical realm. Not in the mental realm, not in the emotional realm, not in the spiritual realm. And then the other person may be having an issue, but when they have an issue, it's in the mental realm or the emotional realm or the spiritual realm, not so much the physical realm. And instead of just saying like, there is no end-all be-all with it. Everyone has to grow. We're constantly in flux. All of us are constantly growing and changing. There is never a time where we're the same person today as what we were yesterday. We're not. We're going through different experiences and life choices and life decisions, and we're all living a life based on the reactions and actions of the things that happened in the previous day, which is the past, which we can't change. But today we have to deal with all those decisions that we made yesterday and still make ourselves successful. Now, during that time, we're going to have demons. And these demons, anyone who tells you that you're going to be able to defeat your demons, they're lying to you. Okay, they're trying to sell you some shit. Probably going to sell you some pills and, whatever. But you're never going to defeat your demons. You're going to learn to live with them. You're going to learn to not let them defeat you. That's really what it comes down to. When we study the way, and I am a teacher of the old ways, and I get it that the old ways are dying out. And it's sad that there are very few people that actually teach Koryu, truly teach it. These people that are like, they're just profiting off of the idea of it. They're not actually teaching it. But when you dedicate yourself to the way, you dedicate yourself to the way. And you don't sidestep that. You stick to that. And when you understand that, one of the first koan within the kokoro is know thyself. You need to know yourself. What is it that pisses you off? What is it that makes you mad? What is it that makes you upset? What makes you happy? Which brings on anxiety and fear and depression and all these things? What are the things that make it very difficult for you to handle and to just be able to accept? Like an example, if someone says something and it makes you really upset and mad, well then you definitely gonna have to handle some shit, because people are gonna talk, people are gonna say things. So coming up with a defensive strategy towards all of these attacks, regardless of whether these attacks are in the earth element, the water element, the fire element, or the wind element, you should have at least some sort of base technique mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, towards this particular method. So if there's someone making fun of maybe how big you are, or your size or something, or how much money you have, or what car you ride, or how you look, or what your size is, whether you're too big or too small or whatever, you know, there should be an idea where you should be able to sit down and be like, okay, they're saying this in this realm. This is going to be my correct response. Now, I would love to give you guys, quote unquote, the answer to the problem. The problem with that is one word. Words are the most magical things in the world, isn't it? I know. Here's the. You guys know I'm a witch, and I practice the occult, but words are very magical, and you could say something and give someone the greatest feeling in the world. You could also say something and really make someone feel bad about themselves, and that's why you got to be very careful with the words that you choose, you know, because you want to make sure that the way that you express yourself in your videos or in your daily life or to your students or your friends or your family is the way that you truly want to be put off. Like a lot of times in my videos, I cuss a lot. And the reason I cuss a lot, well, just that's who I am, but I also want to make sure that I give the viewer the understanding that I'm very intense, and I definitely believe very much in what it is that I do and how I do it. And usually those kind of things, when you're using cuss words and swear words and you forcefully say things, it helps people understand. It's not like you're creating a different image. You're trying to create a correct image. You know what I mean? And so sometimes swearing and things of that nature is a good thing to do because it helps create the perfect image in the message that you're trying to create and deliver. But when you're dealing with words, and I talk about how they're some of the most magical things in the world is words. When you create a word, you have to spell it, right? And isn't that funny how they always talk about how witches cast a spell? They use words, and the way you create a word is to spell it. I always think I think that's more than a coincidence. I personally don't believe in coincidences. I think everything happens for a reason. But during the holiday season, everyone's going to have these feelings. We're all going to feel them because we all feel to some level the world doesn't understand us completely. And the true meaning of that is, the true feeling of that is you're right. The world doesn't know how you feel. Not everyone's going to know you. No one is going to know you completely. Which is why in the dojo, we don't ever use first names. Here at the Budo we only use last names. The reason we use last names is because we want to get to the person's soul, the character of the person, not the individual. Like if I said, let's say that your name is Bob, and I said, Bob, come here. Well, lots of people call that individual Bob. You know, Bob probably has a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, cousins, uncles, friends, people he works with, people he knows, acquaintances, online buddies, whatever. So there's so many different versions of Bob, right? But in martial arts, well, I take that back. In the Budo we never use first name. We always use last name. So we always say Mr., Miss, right? And last name. Unless it's an individual that doesn't, adhere to either Mr. or Miss, and in which case we just use the last name. We don't say Mr. or Miss, we just say last name. But we always get to that point because we want to get to the soul of the individual, and then the martial arts training that we have here at the Budo should influence. Sorry, my other thing came up. The martial arts training here at the Budo should influence how the individual is as a person, because the training should fuel the growth of the individual themselves. And they take the training through self-defense and the training of all these different skills, how to recognize these problems and put them into their life to make them a better person. Now, I'm sure that you guys are probably thinking, well, shit, how do we deal with an earth problem like rent? How do we deal with a water problem like a loan or something like school loan, college loans, what do you call those? College, you get money for college. I forget, college loans, I think they're what they're called. Anyway, things like that. Or fire element when your car breaks down, and you're like, ah, shit, I got to take care of that. How do you deal with this? Or what do you do with this? Or what's the best way for this? Well, it's different because every individual has their own life. Every individual has to make the best decision for themselves, but there's still the way. Now you can handle it like an ass, or you can handle it like a martial artist. You can listen to your demons and listen to them say how you're not good enough. And that's a video that I wanted to discuss, dealing with your demons. But you know, every day we wake up and it's like, oh, you're not good enough, or you're too fat, or you're too skinny, or you're too ugly, you don't have enough money, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. You know, for me, it's, oh, you're a transgendered woman and you teach martial arts. No one's gonna give a shit about you. No one's gonna wanna listen to you. No one's gonna, people are people. You know, you gotta learn to deal with those demons. And you're never gonna defeat them, they don't go away. But you learn to deal with them. You learn to deal with them in a specific way. That's why we call the training the way of the warrior. Instead of dealing with them like a peasant, you deal with them like a warrior. You understand that those demons aren't gonna go anywhere, but you know how to deal with them as a warrior when you study the way. When the problems persist, money's tight, putting food on the table is rough, family problems, financial problems, you learn to deal with them in a way that the way of the warrior, the way that you would be dealing with them in a correct way. That is the way, right? And when you study the way, you understand that. And how to deal with these things is based on the individual, which is the first cone, is know thyself. So in the beginning, I talked about these self-defense instructors, or these reality-based self-defense instructors that don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing because they're trying to tell you, oh, against a wrist grab, do this, against a lapel, do this. It's false. It's just false. It's a false feel-good feeling. They're making you feel good about something that's just not as probable. Yes, you should learn self-defense. Yes, you should learn self-defense in the physical realm. But what's good? What's the good of going to a dojo and talking to a master or a sensei, and they're just teaching you how to beat someone with a stick and not get beat with a stick, when you never get beat with a stick ever in your life? They don't express the art and the lessons in a way that's truly going to help you understand how to deal with problems mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You should learn how to deal with these problems in life, not just in the physical realm. But this is where so many people tend to make their money. And martial arts is more than just the physical realm. So I know people like to argue about that. Oh, what's a martial art? Well, the people that don't know what a martial art is, or they try to label it as something it's not, I feel sorry for them. Anyone who thinks martial arts is just punching and kicking, I feel sorry for them. I do. I feel sorry for those people because they never experience what true martial arts is. And the people, it's reality-based self-defense. Against the stick, do this. Okay. But then they don't help their students understand how to deal with fear and anxiety and depression and loneliness. And those attacks are something they deal with every moment they wake up and roll out of bed. It's just false security. And here, I like to make sure that I do know my students, and I talk to my students as much as I can so I can help them. Even the students in the online dojo, I try to be as close as I can with them. Of course, the online students have to be a little bit more aggressive and at least keeping their feet in the water and staying in touch, because there's just so many all over the world. I can't keep up with every one of them. But the people that are constant in the organization, consistently sending reviews, consistently interacting, I keep up. If you keep up with me, I keep up with you, even if you're on the other side of the world. And I believe that teacher-student relationship should mean something. And I do believe that martial arts should be something more than just punch, punch, kick, kick. Anybody can do that. That doesn't take talent. Anybody can throw a punch. But can you do it in a way to protect yourself, not defend your ego? Can you do it in a way to protect others? See, I think that's what's more important. Can you train in a martial art that helps you understand how to deal with pain and anxiety and fear, and understand, okay, well, this problem is in this element, and this element is, this is the way that you would handle it. If it's an earth, hey Coco, go back home. Go back home, Coco. It's a neighborhood dog here. If someone gives you a problem that's around the earth element, do you understand what element you need to use to defeat that particular issue? Or water, or fire, or wind? How do you deal with that problem? Well, that's your teacher. You have to find a teacher that's going to help you be the best you can. Some people only want to know self-defense in the physical realm. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people want to learn self-defense in a much more wider scope than just what to do if someone beats you with a stick. In which case you need to find an instructor that can do that. And that's something that I believe that we definitely handle here at the dojo, and that's something that I'm a very big firm believer in as well. So anyway, today was just more of a topic. I just wanted to talk about it, make sure that you guys kind of opened your mind to, there's a lot of people that are lonely right now and depressed, and if you know people like that, give them a call and say hi. Send them a text and say, hey, I love you. I'm thinking about you. How you doing? That one simple text, that one simple message can be the most magical thing that they get all day. And it can change the energy and their day. And as a martial artist, it's not just the idea of being able to do something, it is actually doing something. We're training to have a sense of action and a sense of honor and integrity and loyalty and to what it is that we do, right? So I definitely encourage everybody that's part of the Budo Kai to reach out to everybody you can during this holiday season and to all the people during the New Year's coming up, and just say, hey, I've been thinking about you. I love you. How you doing? Haven't got to talk to you this much this year. You know, you'd be surprised at how words themselves do matter and how it can totally make someone's day. And right now, there's a lot of people going through problems. And even if you're going through your own problem, maybe if you just help somebody out just by simple words, maybe it changes your energy of your body as well. Kind of gives you a little bit of juice, makes you feel like you can take on the rest of the month as well, you know? Anyway, these are just random thoughts that I thought I would share with you guys. So I'm gonna end it real quick. Let me flip around here. So if you guys are interested in authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu, please check out our website at www.budoninjutsu.com. There you can see a list of our schools, the traditions that we teach, the philosophies and things that we have here within our organization that we stand by. If you do not live next to one of our schools, you can always join the Budo Kai online ninjutsu dojo and you can train with us that way. So thank you guys very much for your love and support. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, take care, be safe, and good luck in your journey of Budo.